I read this stat and I could not believe it. You know, Sweden's played more semi-finals in the World Cup than England.
Yeah, yes, I have.
England are trash in World Cup, so why is that so
Yeah.
surprising?
Coming to Portugal, when I
Mm.
look at the Portuguese team, it reminds me so much. Again, this is for our Dawn audience of the '92 World Cup team.
AC, do you just think every team is frisky?
He's
Yeah, if
used
you've
that.
made it to the World Cup when Italy couldn't, you have to give them due respect.
Welcome to the Dugout as we continue our World Cup preview. Only 4 days left. Today is June 8th. With me, the usual gang. You guys doing okay?
Yeah, I'm just recovering from all these like stunning World Cup warm up matches goals, like that Anthony Robinson goal and that Dorgu
Patrick
goal.
Dorgu, yes, that
Yeah,
goal is
yeah.
amazing. So let's start off. We'll go with Norway. Norway, of course, in a group with Iraq, Senegal, and France. Back after a long hiatus, they were last in the World Cup in 1998 in France, where they reached the round of 16. Squad littered with Premier League players, of course, Haaland leading the attack. And Norway plays a very untraditional now 4-4-2. Of course, if this conversation was held 8 years ago, this would be a very traditional 4-4-2. But 4-4-2, Haaland up front, but then a very rock solid midfield with Sander Berge
Mm.
and of course Patrick Berg as well, and of course Arsenal's captain Martin Odegaard just behind Holland. An interesting team should at least qualify for the round of 16 in that group. Gentlemen, your thoughts on the Norwegians, who have, by the way, had a fantastic World Cup shoot where they were all dressed up as Viking lords and Viking kings as they cross over the Atlantic to conquer the US.
The only thing I'm like scared about this Norway team is like I do think they should, with at least the lesser teams, there should be goals. Like they should be able to get the ball up to Haaland, and he'll be able to muscle his way and be able to score with any like half touch he can get, right? But like with the more possession based teams, with when like it's going to be harder to get the ball up to Haaland because so I was watching their warm up match yesterday, I think, right? He only had 4 touches. And another thing was that like the heat was getting to them. Like the heat was legitimately getting to them. It was looking really bad, and like they have a squad. They're in a group with Senegal, France, and Iraq. It's a very hard group. And aside from that as well, you also have like they'll probably get a best of the third because there's 8 best teams that are going to get through, right? But going further than that, I see it very hard for them. I don't see them being like going to upset people in the knockout stages personally.
Yeah, but you
The
have to
Heat
remember they topped the group against Italy in the European qualifier, so they're a very solid side. They've got a really good forward line with Haaland. Of course, he might have to play a bit deeper with the Sorloth being the orthodox number nine. You have, of course, Sander Larsen as well of Crystal Palace now, who was pretty decent. We saw in the Premier League, he's not bad at all. So they have a good strike force. They have a decent midfield. They have Oscar Bob as well of ex-Manchester City. So a lot of Premier League caliber in that side. And like you mentioned, Mustafa, Senegal, a lot more experienced, a lot more battle hardened. France is France. So I think best third, and maybe they can be frisky, I feel, in the
Hmm.
knockout stage of the World Cup as well. I think they will be difficult to beat. Whoever they meet in the next round of 32 or whatever, they're going to be a tough out in this World Cup.
Hmm.
The Heat shouldn't bother them because their games are in the house that Brady built in Gillette Stadium and, of course,
Hmm.
then MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So the Heat really shouldn't bother them. Let's move on to their Scandinavian neighbors. Sweden, of course. Sweden, of course, runners-ups in 58. Lost to Pele, a 17-year-old Pele in 58. They're in a group with Tunisia and Holland. They're back after 2018. Graham Potter, their head coach, ex of Chelsea, ex of Brighton. Dallas-based Sweden, their headquarters. They're playing at Dallas FC, only about 10, 15 minutes from where I live, and they'll actually play Japan in Dallas. They play a back three, 3-4-2-1 system. And again, a star-studded Premier League lineup with Premier League winner Viktor Gyokeres and, of course, the main man for Liverpool, our Alexander Isak, who we didn't see too much. But he had an injury-plagued season, but he should be fit for the World Cup.
Hmm.
Up front, and of course, Victor Lindelof, European winner himself with Aston Villa this year, in the back line. who actually this year had a very good season playing in that sort of hybrid midfield and defensive role. Your thoughts on the Swedes, gentlemen?
They also have Elanga as well from who plays for Newcastle or formerly in Manchester United. They have that midfielder Ayari from Brighton as well,
Yeah.
who's a very
He's okay. He was frisky this season. Not bad.
yeah,
He's
he's
okay.
not bad, but like he's a bits and parts, like not bits and parts, but like,
Hmm.
he jack of all trades type of thing, where like he'll be very useful in that team. Um, like it's a very they have obviously they have an amazing attacking depth, right? No, not depth, but they have a very they have arguably the best striker who was arguably the best striker last year before this season, right?
Hmm.
um, in the world, and then they have a Premier League winner in Viktor Gyokeres, who was genuinely one of the major reasons why Arsenal did win the league this year, because he was banging in the goals against
21
the.
goals.
He was getting goals. He was getting goals against lesser oppositions, but goals none the same. And like they're a very solid team.
Tunisia,
Tunisia,
Holland, and
Holland, and Japan.
Japan. That's a tough group.
Yeah, it's a hard group.
It's a very interesting group. I was looking at this group. It is a very
This is
interesting group
honestly
because
very difficult to call this
these
group.
Yeah,
are these are three teams that are, yes, Holland has a lot of young talent, but that this young talent hasn't been tested. And Japan absolutely are a dark horse, and Tunisia have experience in big games.
They're
There's a
very
lot of
difficult
players
to
on.
beat. Yeah.
Correct. Interestingly, two of their games are going to be indoor, one in Houston, one in Dallas, and then the third game is going to be in Guadalajara in Mexico. So they're sort of Dallas based. They don't have a lot of flying time to do. Sweden should make some noise if that midfield can get the ball to Gyökeres and Alexander Isak. All right,
I
let's
think they'll
move on.
definitely be in there in the mix. I think this group is truly difficult to call because any of the four can at least finish in the top two. Or with Tunisia, you'd at least expect them to be able to be the best third. So this is truly Group F is looking like the group of death of this World Cup. And like you mentioned, the Netherlands on paper very strong, but on paper we've seen in the past that the Dutchmen haven't lived up to their top billing.
yeah.
Let's move on to
And
rookies
also
in
one
the World
last
Cup. Go
also
ahead.
one last thing with Sweden. I read this stat and I could not believe it. You know, Sweden's played more semi-finals in the World Cup than England.
Yeah. Yes, I have.
England are trash in World Cup, so why is that so
Yeah.
surprising?
I
I have
didn't think.
another, we'll come to another stat about the World Cup later in a different team. But let's go on to rookies of the World Cup, the Uzbeks. This is their first World Cup experience. A manager, of course, Fabio Cannavaro,
Yeah,
ex-Serie A in a group with Portugal, Colombia, and
Golden
the
Ball winner, World Cup winner, not bad at
correct.
all.
And the Congo, they play a back three. Of course, Kusanov of Manchester City spearheads their defense. Gentlemen, what do you think? Are they going to do anything? Score a goal, maybe?
Looking quite unlikely against the likes of Colombia, Portugal, and
yeah.
DRC, who have a lot of Manchester United, ex-Man United players in
We'll
it.
we'll
Kwanzebe
come to
comes to
DRC
mind.
next. We'll come to
Yeah,
DRC next.
I
They're a
think they're
very
just going to be participation merchants here. It's looking very difficult in that group. They got a really hard luck of the draw there.
yeah. Like your best player is like Man City's like like fourth or fifth best defender.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. Let's go on to DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, who actually played in the '74 World Cup as Zaire. And so, but they're back for the first time in a World Cup and their new name of the Democratic Republic of Congo. They have a bunch of Premier League talent. Of course, Yohan Wissa of Newcastle, ex of Brentford. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, ex of Manchester United, and then Noah Siddiqui. Um,
Tuanzebe.
you know, Axel Tuanzebe.
Tuanzebe.
But the problem for them, I think, is that group. Just Portugal and Colombia are two teams with a lot of nows. I do worry about teams that are new to a World Cup because there's a whole hoopla around it. It's not easy to get into. Some of it is just starting fast, but they're another team that could just, maybe they get a point against the Uzbeks or sneak one out, but I think they'll be here, and I don't see them qualifying for the round of 32
Maybe
even
that
as a best.
African factor competing against Senegal could, perhaps make
Hmm.
it a bit interesting. But yeah, overall it's looking tough. DRC, Uzbek, and Portugal. I think they'll be frisky. Maybe the best third team. That could be quite possible for them.
So,
Let's go ahead.
AC, do you just think every team is frisky?
He's
Yeah, if
used
you've
that
made it to the World Cup when Italy couldn't, you have to give them due respect. And perhaps
he's
so, and also so many African teams didn't make it to the World Cup. Man, Nigeria is not at a World Cup. Can you believe? So,
Yeah.
you have to give them that respect.
it's
That's
crazy with the
when we come to
Super Eagles.
Tunisia, we need to talk about that because they're there and Nigeria isn't. A lot of big African
Well,
nations aren't, and
before
Tunisia.
before we come to Tunisia, let's go to the next African team, which is Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, the Ivory Coast in a World Cup in 2006, 2010, and then 2014, but they haven't been there since 2018 or in 2022. Um, in a tough group with Germany, Ecuador, and of course Curacao, but littered with talent. Frank Kessie, Ibrahim Sangara, Fofana, Amad Diallo for Manchester United,
The
of course,
biggest
and
underachievers in terms
Jan
of African teams, I
they
feel,
are. And
Yeah.
always.
Yan Diomande, who is a hot property in world football right now. Liverpool are after him. Manchester United want to be after him, but of course don't won't pay the wages for him. Um,
Well,
let's
you paid them for everybody else. Why not him?
new ownership
New
is
ownership,
much
we don't.
stricter
They don't want to pay
on the
money at all.
wages. So, can this underachieving team, which has had so much talent, this is the country of Didier Drogba and so on and so forth, can they actually do something at this World Cup?
They'll easily be the best third in this group, bare minimum. If they can knock over Ecuador, who are very good at World Cups, it looks unlikely, but I think best third is right on the table. And you never know with Germany. We've seen them in the last two World Cups as well. We're never really quite sure which Mannschaft, squad is going to show up. Perhaps the pressure can get to them. Who can remember that infamous game against South Korea? So bare minimum is best third, or it could easily finish in the top two. I would not be surprised at all.
I kind of agree. I don't. I wouldn't be shocked if Germany is the third. Is third in this group. I would. I'm just saying. It's like it's a World Cup. Stuff can happen. We have stuff. Uh, like more random
Mustafa
stuff.
is all in on the clickbait reels. He wants to get clipped here.
All right, let's come to the the third African nation in today's segment, which is Tunisia. Tunisia, of course, qualified in 18, qualified in 22. Interestingly, the first Arab country to ever win a World Cup game when they beat the Mexicans in 1978, in a group with Sweden, Holland, and Japan. Again, interesting group, has, of course, Hannibal Mejbri. AFCON round of 16, they were knocked out early, underachievers. But in this group, anything could happen. I don't see them getting out of the top two teams in this group. Could they sneak into the round of 32? It's tough. I don't think the Tunisians make much noise in this World
They
Cup.
don't
It's
have
a
that
thin
goal
squad.
scoring juice that they used
Yeah.
to
Right.
have in the past. That golden generation has pretty much faded. They'll be a difficult out. They'll be difficult to beat, but scoring goals,
Yeah.
I do feel will be a problem for them in this World Cup.
Yeah, they're very pragmatic, very defensive, very well organized side, right? But as AZ has said, like they do not have the goals there, and and that is always going to make it difficult for you.
Moving on, let's come to the Kiwis of New Zealand. We saw them last, actually just a day ago, getting um, basically bowled out
And
by England
Lords,
at Lords. In ICC events, the Kiwis do very well. World Cup events, not so much. They last made the World Cup in 2010, and prior to that, 1982. They're in a group with Iran, Egypt, and Belgium. Their game against Iran will actually be at SoFi Stadium. It's Iran's first World Cup game. In LA, in
what did
Tehrangelis.
you
It'll
call
be
it?
interesting to see.
Tehrangelis,
In
Los Tehrangelis.
Tehrangelis, yes, absolutely. Chris Wood spearheading their attacking lineup. But again, unlike ICC events, I don't think the Kiwis make much noise in this World Cup.
I mean, they might have a unfair advantage where like everyone might have an unfair advantage on Iran because the Iranian it has just been it was announced today, right? Like this is recorded on June 8th that the Iranian players they cannot stay overnight in the US. They have to fly from so they have to fly into Los Angeles on the day of the game and then fly back on the day on that same day. They are not allowed to stay overnight essentially, which is going to be even more travel for them, which is going to exert them more. I mean, they will obviously be able to handle the heat. That's not a problem. But like, it's a very
The
unfair
off the
advantage.
field issues are surrounding them is a big
So, a couple
nightmare.
of things
Yeah.
Yeah.
there. First of all, SoFi is an indoor stadium. Second of all, that has been debunked. Iran will go a day before the SoFi game and 2 days before one of the other games. That's not an issue. And Mexico, their base is not exactly a long
Fake
distance
news.
away from.
Fake
Yeah,
news thing.
it's not exactly far from LA. Let's move on to the Haitians. First
Mm.
time in a World Cup since 1974 in a group with Brazil, Scotland, and Morocco. This is your classic team that when the World Cup expanded to 48 teams, CONCACAF, which is the confederation that Haiti plays in, basically got expanded, got a whole bunch more teams, and this is how the Haitians probably made it. I suspect Brazil, Scotland, and Morocco will use Haiti as a way to
A punching
basically
bag, yeah.
boost,
Mhm.
correct, get into form, um, boost their own team morale, boost their team spirits. They just have that one player for Wolves, Bellegarde, but otherwise, this is a team definitely there to make up the numbers.
Yeah. It's just like, we've said this at every episode of like this, like, as we go through all the teams, and we get like, we always, we don't say it, but we always leave like the smaller ones for later, and we're all just like all, and like our like thing always at like the last team of every episode is, "Eh, this is what happens when you have 48 teams
It's
in
an
a world."
experience for the likes of
It's an
Cape
experience
Verde,
for them, but I mean,
Curacao.
imagine
Yeah.
for the people of Haiti who've had a tough year.
No, but for
Uh, you
Costa
know,
Rica to not be at a World Cup, that's a massive
That
failure,
Yeah.
is.
man.
But
It's a
for the
massive
people of
failure.
Haiti, the time zone differences will be just fine for them. They'll get to see their team in a World Cup for
Mm.
basically the first time in 50 plus years. It's a
Mm.
fantastic team.
Oh no
Let's
no.
move on to the so for them, I mean, this is what the beauty of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Czech Republic now, who want to be called Czechia. Of course, back after a hiatus since 2006, and I did not know this until I started my research. The Czech Republic have been runners-up twice before in World Cups, both in 34 and 62, which of course England has never done. Haven't reached a World Cup final like since
Hmm.
'66. They're in a group with South Africa, South Korea, and Mexico. They play Mexico at the Stadio
It's
Azteca.
risky. It's
Um,
risky.
and Tomasichek, Solk, Schick, they have attacking firepower there, well organized. They play a back three
And the
like a lot
game
of
came
these
through the
teams do.
grind of the Euro playoffs as well. So they played some
Correct.
big games already.
The,
Yeah.
and I think this group that they have is there for the taking. I suspect Mexico should go through just because I think home field will push them. But between South Africa and Scotland, I think that second place is wide open for the Czech.
Or at least best
Third.
third is certainly
Yeah.
up for grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, we haven't talked about this enough, because like we're all saying like there's like 12 groups, right? Or something like that, right?
Mm.
Yeah. There's eight best thirds. Like, and like that needs to be like, so like, even if you finish third, you have a two-thirds, like you have a
I
two-thirds
think
chance.
goal difference would play a massive role in that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and who makes it in that
That's
eight.
why
And
you
I
really
think
need to pile it on against the likes of Curacao,
you
Cape Verde,
absolutely need to.
Haiti.
Yeah.
Yep.
There'll be
And
some
it'll
big
be
stat
interesting to
padding.
see how managers manage the heat in some of these outdoor stadiums with trying to stat pad because I think that'll be important.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, all 48 teams done. I have a question for you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Mm.
So, in the 2026 T20 World Cup, your top run scorer was a player whose team basically got grouped in Saibzada Farhan. Your golden boot Your golden boot, will it come from a player who got knocked out of the group stages because he basically stat padded, or will it be much more like a Gurbaz in 2024, whose Afghanistan team reached the semifinals, Kohli in 23 and 2022, Babar Azam 2021, who made it to the semis before Hassan Ali dropped that catch.
I think
What do you
the way
think? It'll
you've
be
described it, I think it very much makes sense that somebody in the group stages will really pile on the pokers, the hat tricks, and this and there forth. As we progress on to the playoff stage, I think the games will obviously get a lot tighter.
tighter.
Plus,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's
And
the height
penalties
of
don't
summer
count.
in the US, North
Penal
America, and energy levels won't be there. So I think definitely it's going to be one of those things that you pile it up in the group stage, and then games get very tight and go
get
to
tighter. And
120
penalty
minutes.
penalty
Yeah.
shootout goals don't count towards a golden boot.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a Sabzada Farhan situation.
Yeah.
I so I'm trying to look at basically what teams, what are the best goal scorers, and like what team, like what are the worst teams, right?
Well, Harry Kane will stat pad for
Yeah,
sure.
so Harry Kane will stat pad.
Erling Haaland comes to mind.
Yeah,
Gyokeres could have a good day out.
yeah, but no, but Norway have a very hard group. They have
Hmm.
Senegal, France, and Iraq. So like
German, maybe Havertz,
that's what I'm thinking. German, like who's the right winger? Olise,
for
नहीं,
Germany.
नहीं, क्या कौन है? का winger कौन है
For
यार?
Germany,
Yeah, for Germany.
the right winger. You mean Musiala? He's not a right winger.
No, 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 no,
It'll be
Musiala.
Walter Maid that plays off
Walter
Kai
Mahard
Havertz,
is not
off
a
Kai
bad
Havertz.
shout. Walter Mahard might not be a bad
But
shout.
historically, if you look at it, so obviously Kylian Mbappe in
Yeah,
Qatar won it, and Harry Kane prior to that. But James Rodriguez in 2014, and then
David Villa. Sorry,
you
not
had
David Villa.
players like
Muller.
Davor Suker, Risto Stoichkov,
Miroslav Klose, of
Yeah,
course.
Klose, Toto Schillaci. These are not exactly players that we knew of beforehand. Lineker, of course, in
yeah,
'86, but again, Lineker has never won any trophy in England or any league, so he's a classic stat patter in international football.
What I'm
But
really looking forward to is how the table is going to open up. Certainly, there's going to be a France-Germany game, and there's certainly going to be an Argentina-Uruguay game, which like on paper, that's with the way it's going to progress. And we're perhaps going to have Brazil-England together once again. So
yeah,
that's going to be very, very interesting the way the knockout stage pans
yeah,
out. Germany and France is pretty much odds on it's going to happen at one stage.
if
yeah,
France and Germany finish second in that group, they will play the round of 32 in Dallas on June 30th.
yeah,
That's what I'm hoping
yeah.
for.
And we might have US Belgium again once again. That'll be really, really
US
spicy.
Belgium
Yeah,
Let's
again.
we
watch.
might
Yes, I
have
remember that
US.
game.
We might have US Argentina as well.
There's some
Like,
potentially great games
like
That's
in the
way down the
knockout
line if
stages.
US makes it that
yeah,
far, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Well, what is the vibe like for the American team right now, Doc?
They've had, if you listen to Mauricio Pochettino's interview the other day, we're
Irrational
ready.
confidence.
Yeah, they're ready. Pulisic has hit some form there. They played well against Germany. I think we'll be pumped. You can see the excitement building slowly. The thing is, right now, one of the things that's happened is because the Knicks are in the NBA final, and of
Oh,
course, that's sort of everyone is so
imagine
focused on
that
that.
overlap.
Correct.
Oof.
So if
Ama-
unless the Spurs can extend this series, there's a potential that I think in Game 6, there's a game in Madison Square Gardens in Game 6
Mm.
of Spurs and Knicks, and that same day there'll be a game at the Meadowlands. So
Yeah, this
could
this
be
series is not going to
fantastic.
six.
yeah, yeah. I
This
think
is
it's.
I
getting
think
done in this week.
today
Yeah.
depends. All right, next question for you guys. Is this World Cup going to have a team putting a second star or an additional star on their jersey, or is it going to
Ooh.
be a first-time winner? We haven't had a first-time winner in a World Cup since
First time
Spain.
winner is I
Very
think
hard. Portugal's your
Spain
best
was the
shout.
I'm
last
like
time. So coming to Portugal, when I
mm,
look at the Portuguese team, it reminds me so much. Again, this is for our Dawn audience of the '92 World Cup team. You had basically
Mm,
a captain who
who
was
is who is
definitely past
Miandad in this team?
who was definitely past his prime,
Bruno?
but had
Yeah,
had
fair
that
enough.
almost like a talismanic uh, you know,
Aura.
aura to him, and that is Cristiano.
Yeah.
And you know he's dying inside that Messi's got a World Cup chip and he
Yeah,
hasn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct.
I mean, like, no. I think actually Bruno is more like Wasim. I think
Uh, I'm
Bruno's
gonna
more.
throw my I'm gonna throw
But
my gear
think
into
about
the
it.
ocean now.
The parallels between the Portugal team and '92's team, there are a lot of
Mm.
parallels there.
Mm.
Could
There's a,
this be the year?
I legit I
Especially
think
with the way Vitinha and Joao Neves have played.
Vitinha and João Neves,
You've
that's your
got
right
Nuno
there.
Mendes, you've got Cancelo, you've got so many players in every position,
no,
man.
you got you got
Correct.
So
Bernardo
who's
Silva.
Rafael Leao punching out punching out the
You got
opposition?
Bernardo Silva on the bench, man. Like
Correct.
like
And they have so much depth of talent. I mean, who's going to be their Inzamam who comes in? You know?
in Bernardo Silva. Who's a young person who can come into
They
that
do
team?
they will run into Argentina though, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
That's
thing.
gonna be nuts.
That's gonna be a very. If do you could you imagine that's the last game together as well? Like the last like meaningful Ronaldo.
It's like that Shawn Michaels Triple H meme
Yep.
that resting on
No, it's
No,
on
not
the
even.
rope.
No,
there's
I
so
would.
many storylines in this World Cup.
There's a lot because okay, I have a thing for you. So the most similar I can feel to like this World Cup, like the vibe of this World Cup, to me, is
Mhm.
2006 because I feel like it is a very much an ending of a chapter of football, like 2006
Correct.
was.
Figo was ending.
Zidane,
Zidane, original Ronaldo was ending, sort of, and Cristiano played that World Cup coming off the
yes,
bench. Messi played that World Cup coming off the bench, so on and so forth. There was the changing of the guard in that, and that was a fantastic World Cup as well.
yeah,
David Beckham, of course, remember in that World Cup, sort of exercised his demons, scoring that penalty against knocked out Argentina after in 2002 being sent off. That was a great World Cup as well. But yeah, no, lots of storylines should be very interesting. Stay, like and subscribe and continue to follow us for regular content throughout this World Cup. Thank you.